Hello YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review. Here today with a summer anime review. Most of the animes still have one episode to go, but there was one anime that ended past Friday at 12 episodes. And that anime was the 2016 adaptation of Berserk. The anime that a lot of people were afraid for, and I think that some of their fears did came true. The story of the 2016 Berserk anime continues where the old anime left off. Well, sort of. We still follow our main character Guts as he continues his quest for revenge against Griffith and his other quest to save Casca. So what was there positive about this anime, since a lot of people were very worried about this adaptation? Now, what was positive was our main character, Guts. In the old anime, Guts was already a great character because of his ruthlessness. But here in the new anime, Guts became even greater. See, in the old anime, Guts fought because it was the only thing that he knew. He had been wandering from battlefield to battlefield and swaying his sword. But in this new anime, Guts has multiple reasons to fight. First, he of course wants his revenge against Griffith for everything that bastard did to him in the past. But maybe even more important was that Guts now fights to protect Casca. She's literally the last thing he has after losing everything in the eclipse. And his entire life now revolves around her and finding a way to cure her. So that made Guts an even more badass character than he already was. And a second positive point was the music. The music in the old anime was already really good and they continued that in the new anime. Also here, the OST was very well written with some memorable songs that elevated the epicness that this anime wanted to radiate. But as I said, there were a lot of worries about this anime, especially amongst the manga readers of Berserk. They feared multiple things, like the art style adaptation and the story adaptation. And there were quite some things that did go wrong with this adaptation. First up, there was the animation. The trailer for this anime already made us fear for the worst. And man, this animation was shit. There is no other way how I can describe this art style than to say that it was shit. I definitely mentioned this in my review of the old anime, but I hated the 3D CGI animation that they used in the 3 Berserk movies. And the Berserk 2016 anime decided to go on the same path. I mean, there were some good times. I mean, the 2D animation was pretty good, and there were even times when the 3D animation was acceptable. But at other times, it was just plain hideous. And this is coming from an anime only, so I am not comparing this to the art style of the manga. And if that shitty 3D CGI bullshit wasn't enough, there were even times when they started to censor things in the most impossible ways. Now, I must say that the further the anime progressed, the better the animation became. In the final episodes, the studio stepped away from the 3D animation and sticked to 2D animation. Talking about the studio. Leiden Films isn't really doing a good job for their image this year. If you remember, Leiden Films was also the studio behind the sequel for Terraformers. Yeah, that other shitty sequel. So it's about time that they made a good anime if they don't want to be sent into oblivion by us, the anime watchers. Next negative point was that there were some anomalies with the continuation of the story. Now, because I'm an anime only, I actually didn't have a big problem with the fact that they skipped 6 whole volumes of the manga at the start of this anime. to me the transition was almost unnoticeable except for a few things, like where did Guts' Behelit come from or where did Puck come from. Now, for the manga readers, this issue was orders of magnitude bigger. I saw some reviewers, like for instance Chibi, go complete nuts after the first episode. They were furious that so much development for Guts and just entire arcs were skipped. But to me, there were some anomalies, but nothing so serious that it made me mad. And a final point of complaint was the comedy in this Berserk anime. To be honest, Berserk doesn't ask for comedy, it just doesn't fit the story and the atmosphere of this anime and manga. So when the anime used really stupid comedy from time to time, it annoyed me enormously. It broke the entire flow of the anime and it was completely uncalled for. So as a conclusion, Leiden Films made another shitty sequel. After Terraformers, also Berserk had to die. And remember that I am an anime only, so the problems that I had with this anime are nothing compared to those of the die-hard Berserk fans. But this sequel was bad at times, definitely in terms of the animation. So I'm going to rate Berserk 2016 at 2.5 out of 5 stars. And those Berserk fans that thought that the horror was over, well, you're wrong, because the final episode announced another season that's going to air in spring 2017, so look forward to that. As in my review for the original Berserk anime, my best recommendation is Hellsing Ultimate. Equals amount of blood and gore and also featuring a great main character. And with that I conclude my review of Berserk 2016. As usual, you can find a full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. I will say arigatou gozaimasu and I will see you all in the next video.